Devlin, Untamed. The platform.
Welcome to the podcast, people. iOS, it's only sport. It's only sport. That's the name of our radio show, 1 till 4 every afternoon on the platform. You've got to download the platform app. So you do that and you've got us everywhere you go because you've always got your phone with you, and then you can just click on and go, hey, I want to listen to some sport in the afternoon, and that's us. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War. Or if you can't stay with us, then this is perfect for you. The podcast form, highlights of today's program. 3 heavyweights from the world of rugby joined us today. Ian Foster, Mike Cron, Steve Hansen. Talking about Sam Whitelock, of course, his contribution to New Zealand rugby. Him, the man, the person. Because these guys have spent the time behind closed doors with this guy. What's he really like? As well as that, why would you join forces with the Wallabies? Obviously, put that question to Mike Cron, and whether or not the 2 most recent World Cup All Black coaches will be doing what Mike Cron and Joe Schmidt have done. Wynton Rufer also on the podcast, our greatest ever footballer, round ball footballer, Oceania player of the century, talking about Chris Wood and just how good this Kiwi striker, our All Whites captain, is right now. 66 Premier League goals and counting. Does he get the props? Does he get the kudos in this country he deserves? Wynton doesn't think so. He will explain. All of that plus, what is more chance of happening? We did the tight 5 and began the show the same way every single day. Tablets in hand, I say gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. Sam Whitelock. Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
He's retired from all rugby. News officially out yesterday. So what more a day later can be said about Sam Whitelock? One of the greatest ever All Blacks. His numbers are extraordinary and probably never to be repeated. 153 tests, second only all-time internationally to Alan Wynne-Jones of Wales. 180 Super Rugby matches, that's third on the all-time list, and only 22 for Canterbury, which again just goes to show how irrelevant NPC rugby has become or has been made to become these days in New Zealand. Stats for players are now measured in Super Rugby franchise games played as opposed to playing for your province. But having said that, Whitelock, I think, embodies all of the values that we seem to associate with our glorious past. Longevity, consistency, composure, nothing overtly flash-harry about anything he did or said, just a guy who was always rock solid. You knew he'd go out there every single game and play 100%. And no real social media presence that I know or have ever seen. I can't imagine Sam Whitelock running off the rugby field to check how many gigglers liked his latest Instagram post, or never focused on how many new girls have slid into his DMs or whatever. A team man in every single sense of that phrase. Selfless workhorse, but also a man with an acute understanding of the game, a tactical awareness and ability to adapt, which can't be underestimated, underwritten or overlooked. And I say this because the game when he debuted as an All Black in 2010 is not at all the same game that he was playing in France at last year's Rugby World Cup. Huge changes, massive changes. Just think of the tackle height, for one. The many rule adjustments, some subtle, some not so, the refereeing interpretations, the way lineouts operate, the focus now on kickoffs, which is as important as a set piece as any other, scrummaging and the changes in every aspect of the crouch, bind, set department. Look, it wasn't that long ago that it used to be crouch, touch, pause, engage, remember? Sam Whitelock has continued throughout his career to learn, to add to his game, to keep improving. And he's one of those very rare players who can probably never be accused of having had a bad game. At the same time, I don't know how many times he's had sensational games or what we'd call man-of-the-match performances. He's just turned up and always consistently delivered. Never worse than a 7 out of 10 ever. He's been reliable, dependable, durable, one of our greatest ever All Blacks, and for me, a man who defines all of those values that we continually refer to as old school.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The platform.
Headlines, Lachlan, what are they? Sports-wise?
I'll start off with some live sport. The White Ferns are in action today.
Give me a win probability. Give me the win probability. Give me the win probability.
Oh, it's currently updating.
Okay.
So I can't give you a win probability.
Score right now.
England 149 for 4. They chose to bat. 32.4 overs gone, so we're a smidge under the 33 over mark. 149, that's not bad, is it?
Well, you normally double up after 30 overs, so 150
and
overs.
this is also, respectfully, a women's one day.
Okay, so I'd say they're looking at 260, 270. Anything over 250 chasing is hard in women's cricket.
Well, for us,
Give
it's
me
even
a
harder.
win probability.
It's updating. Here we go. It just showed
I
up.
would say at the moment, England sitting on 73%.
No more.
82%?
The smallest amount list.
81%.
81%.
81%.
81% chance that England win this second of 3 ODIs. And they lead the series 1-0. And they already beat us in the T20 series. And this is all at home for the White Ferns.
I'm just interested in,
are we?
have we improved our fielding and our running between the wickets since the last thrashing we got from them? I'm not watching this, people. I'll just keep you updated with the scores. I've got the NBA basketball on the other screen because our Lakers...
Stop it.
Our Lakers...
I don't want you on
I've jumped the train.
our wagon.
I've jumped it.
See, last year you started out with the Warriors and they got knocked out of the playoffs, and then you jumped on Jimmy Buckets in the Heat.
I did
and
too.
then they lost in the final, so you were all on Jokic.
That's me.
And then now what? What are you? Lakers.
I'm Lakers, man.
You're not on. You're
I'm
trying
just
to.
here to spoil it for you.
You're trying to curse my
That's
team.
what I'm trying to do. You know.
Oh, I hate being a Lakers fan. I really do. It's actually not an easy process. Yes, we have championships and
What kind of...
silverware.
You've won 25 titles, mate. How hard
17,
is it?
steady on. Only
There you go.
17. Actually, I don't hate being a fan because I actually have championships. Premier League this morning. 3 games on, 2 of them very noteworthy. The first one, which no one really cares about, Brentford and Brighton drawing 0-0. Arsenal beating Luton 2-0, pretty comfortable in the end for the Gunners. Man City belting Aston Villa 4-1. Phil Foden scoring a hat-trick. Now, with City's win, by the way, they're still behind Liverpool on the table.
Yeah, goal difference.
Yeah, goal difference. So Liverpool sits second. Arsenal are top at the moment. Man City are third, but Liverpool play tomorrow morning, and guess who they play?
Sheffield United, bottom
Yeah,
of the table,
that's a
already
5-0,
relegated.
6-0 win.
Absolutely it is. So Liverpool go
think.
back on top tomorrow.
Yep. Big game in the NRL tonight. The Melbourne Storm taking on the Brisbane Broncos, which the NRL likes to call a rivalry, even though the Storm, I think, have won like 23 of the last 26 regular season games between the two. How's that a rivalry? But the interesting storyline attached to this game is the fact that giant Brisbane prop Ben Takura has been back to perform on his NRL debut. Baptism of fire, you could call it. He stands at 205 centimetres. He's 19 years of age. He'll become the tallest player ever to feature in the NRL. 205.
Great honour.
It's
That
about
is the
6'7".
tallest ever. The tallest ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's on my team as well. How good. Sebastian Vettel, 4-time Formula One champion, admits that he has thought about a comeback to the sport as he, quote, misses the competition, adding he has been, quote, talking to a lot of team principals recently, including Mercedes boss Toto Wolff. Mercedes are looking to fill a seat for next year because Lewis Hamilton's gone. He's going to Ferrari. Ferrari also, I think, no. What do I want to say? They don't need to fill a seat. But there's also rumours that Red Bull might need to fill a seat as well because Perez might be leaving, or maybe he is leaving. So there's a lot of sort of musical chairs potentially going on in Formula One ahead of next season. Interesting story around one of our Kiwi rowers, one of our gold medal winning rowers, Tom McIntosh. He heads to the Paris Olympics as a reigning gold medalist on the water. That was in the men's 8 back in Tokyo. He's now having a bit of a crack at the single sculls. He'll be competing in that this year, 27 years of age. He says the new discipline has taken some time getting used to. But he took single sculling seriously only after that historic Tokyo triumph. Very quick to adapt to the smaller boat, though, claiming bronze at last year's World Championships in Serbia. So Tom McIntosh a chance to be our next single sculler. It was Jordan Parry, I think, at the last Olympics, but we haven't heard much from him since. Now, there's Martin came into the office this morning and said this, and I nearly fell asleep at just the thought of what this was, that New Zealand Rugby had released, what was it, a 16-page...
16-page... No, it's not. No, it's the Rugby Players Association.
Sorry, Rugby Players Association.
Have released a 16... I've got to get this right. A 16-page document called The Proposal for the Adoption of the NZR Governance Review Recommendations. 16 pages worth.
Yeah.
I challenge anyone to read all 16 pages. I've tried, I've started, I've tried. I got to page 4.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. The NZR 4 pages is very good. The NZR, because it's filled with a whole lot of just buzzwords.
Look, I'll go back to the
PR
original argument here, and I think, and look, I really like Rob Nicol, and he does a hell of a job, even if you don't agree with him all the time. He does a hell of a job representing his players. Are we all not wanting the same ultimate goal? For the sport to be our national game, to be preserved as our national game, to resolve and solve all issues, to have a financial structure that means that everything we want to achieve in rugby we can. If we all agree on that bit, then getting to that bit will actually happen. At the moment, it doesn't feel like even that bit is going to happen. I'm talking about the agreeance bit.
Just a story on One News about this. So the NZRPA has described New Zealand Rugby's current governance model as being in a state of chaos and says that the game here is impotent, disorganised and operating in a leadership vacuum. Strongly worded statement today was approved by NZRPA boss Rob Nichol. And just quickly before I wrap up, an update on the cricket. England 158 for 5 against the White Ferns. That means the White Ferns have taken a wicket.
Yahoo! There we go. We're on the comeback.
Yep. 158 for 5, 33.4 if it's gone. Actually, that wicket has just been taken as well. 76% chance England win this according to the live win probability. That's what's making news, madam.
Devlin.
Oh my goodness me!
The platform.
Ian Foster, Fozzie, coached the All Blacks, of course, after the 2019 Rugby World Cup. He was there in 2012. So Sam Whitelock started his career in 2010. Ian spent a hell of a lot of time with that guy all the way through till his very last and final All Black appearance. Fozzie, talking about Sam Whitelock. Tactically, how astute was he, and how did that change over time from being a young guy in the team alongside Brad Thorne to being the leader that he was?
Oh, it always grows. I think the more experiences you have, the more you got something to go back to and rely on when you're under pressure. So I think he grew and grew in that space. He was always a very intellectual man, and sometimes intellect can actually slow you down in some of your decision making. Because you overthink stuff. But over time he became really clear. He knew what the game entailed. He sort of, and I think as a result, he got more and more leadership roles. Whether if it wasn't captain, it was certainly as a senior player. So he always had influence in the big decisions. But the areas that I think Sam made the biggest difference in terms of experience was in those moments, particularly when he decided to execute his role and do something slightly different to get it, because the team needed a slightly different outcome. And it's those little moments that he's taken a bit of a risk, but he's backed himself that I probably remember the most about Sam's leadership.
Well, obviously, the turnover against Ireland was extraordinary, wasn't it? I mean, at that moment in his career, at that moment in the game and things. It's such a physically combative game, though, and he's not the kind of guy that you look at and you go, oh, my God, he's terrorising opponents because he's so big, he's so mean, he's so strong. But you've got to be incredibly hard and tough to play those positions. So you would have seen that side of him as well.
Oh, no doubt. He wasn't a big lock when he started, was he? He was tall, but, he wasn't... He wasn't the power lock. He was, and so he had to reinvent himself. He worked hard on his body to make sure that he could get through the games. He got bigger and bigger, and then he actually got a little bit smaller to keep up, aerobically the side of the game. So he made adjustments right through his career, and then he worked hard on his technique. She's a bit tough when you're tall with very long legs that you and I aren't blessed with, Marty. And you got these little fellas who are running around and really challenging your tackle technique and your clean out height. And when you're tall and lanky and you haven't got quite the same agility, those things become harder and harder. And so what people don't see is the amount of time that players like Sam put into the technique, the footwork, those little steps to get him in a position that he can make an impact in those areas. And having I guess been blessed with the opportunity to work alongside him since 2012, you see the attitude that goes into those small things off the park, and you just know how hard people work at aspects of their game, and he's certainly right at the top of the tree with that one.
Ian Foster is with us. We're talking about Sam Whitelock. Was he an easy guy to anoint as captain?
Yes and no. I think he, in my time, he wasn't captain a lot in the first 8 years I was with the All Blacks. The next 4, we got down a whole lot of circumstances that we went through a range of captains, particularly through that COVID period, and his leadership there was really strong. He helped the team get single-minded. He wasn't captain on a long-term basis, but his influence as a leader was there all the time. And I'd have to say that during particularly 2020, 2021, when the game was going through massive change in this country with shutdowns and everything, he, behind the scenes, was a big influence and worked a lot with the players and the Players Association to really, and in my belief, he worked a lot in that space for the betterment of the game, not for any self-interest. And so that side of his leadership, which is a little bit unsung, has been massive.
Foz, how important is it to also talk about the locking combinations and playing with Brad Thorne and then obviously with Brodie, and they played well over 60 tests together, and so, the two of them together?
Oh, you can't really, you've got to talk about them together in many ways, and it doesn't diminish either of them, but the sum of both parts was bigger than 1 + 1, wasn't it? And, we saw sort of a Brodie liked to range a lot more, was probably a little bit more comfortable with the ball, had a bit of an edge to him, should we say, about how he played the game physically, and Sam was probably a little bit more of a technician and a strategist and more of a set-piece analyst. So there was a great, amazing combination there, and I'm sure it was the same with Thorny. And I'm sure it's the same and it was definitely the same with Scott Barrett. I think you need to include him in that conversation too, because the time together they had in the Crusaders was, they both formed a great combination. So he worked hard at that, and the good thing is they had very different personalities. They could look at a situation and see it different at times. So it wasn't like it was there were times that they had contrary views with the likes of Brodie and Sam, but massive respect for each other.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. Mike Cron, they call him Crono. He's the scrum guru, but better than that, he is a man who just seems to have an intimate knowledge about the set piece in rugby to a level that no one else does. He is the number one specialist on the planet, and everyone goes to him for expert advice, including Joe Schmidt, who's welcomed him into the Wallaby camp. How long for? What exactly is his role? And why did he decide to do it? Why did he jump? Mike Cron. Welcome back, Crono. So how did all this come about, mate?
It's Joe asked, and a while ago, and we've had some discussions, and to actually go and do a job like that, you got to be, well, first off asked, and the second thing is, can you add value? If you can't add value, don't bother bloody doing it, So, and we can see the finish line, it's after the British and Irish Lions tour next year, which is 16 months away. That's our task to get Australia competitive for that series. So,
how much of it a challenge is it for you, given what who you've coached in the past and the success that you've had, to come into this raw-looking Wallabies setup and take charge of the set piece of these guys?
I actually think doing the Black Ferns is a bit similar. When Smithy and I took over the Black Ferns, we didn't intend to. Just through circumstances, we got given the role to make them competitive for the World Cup. We had a short window. There was a huge amount of things that had to happen. So I actually think by doing the Black Ferns, it's probably going to help me, because there was a lot of adversity and a lot of things we had to tidy up and get sorted before we could start heading forward and getting the ladies to be as good as they could be. So, yeah, looking back, I think that's probably helped me.
Just you personally, yourself, are you a better coach today than you've ever been?
I think so, yeah. I think so. What's helped me also, Martin, in the last 3 years is, one was the Black Ferns, and then I got roped in for 3 years with World Rugby. So I was involved, doing Zooms every week with the Six Nations forward coaches to tell them at set piece what's going well and what they need to tidy up. So that's an interesting conversation, I can tell you. And then Rugby Championship, and then I went to the World Cup for 60 days with World Rugby, and I'm working with the referees. So I've gone to the dark side for a wee while and had a look through their lens, which not many coaches ever have that opportunity. So I've had 3 years of doing that. I'm still doing it for Japan Rugby and MLR in America and a bit of World Rugby. I analyse every week all the set piece, and I write a little summary, and then I tick a box if the referee's decision was correct, incorrect, or inconclusive. So in a weekend of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it takes me a long time, but I would look at probably in excess of 1,000 scrums of finance.
Wow.
So, yeah, so my eye, what happens is you don't coach so much or you get older, it's the eye that goes. Your eye for attention to really finite detail. Well, I think my eye is as good as it's ever been due to analysing, yeah.
If it wasn't Joe Schmidt asking, would you have jumped if it had been somebody, if it wasn't like a guy that you knew well, a fellow Kiwi?
No, I wouldn't do it, no. No. At this level, you say yes generally to people you know and trust and get on with well and respect. I've never applied for a job. I don't even have a CV. All my jobs that I've ever done in rugby is through a phone call. I need a hand. Can you give me a help? Can you help me? And then you decide yes or no. And for Joe, he's a great guy, hugely respected. And I'm really looking forward to working with him and Laurie Fisher, who's a highly regarded coach in his own right, an Australian coach. And I've known Laurie for a number of years, since 2003. And I'm looking forward to coaching with him.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics. When the bell dings, Lachlan, we move quickly on to the next one. EPL results today. How significant, how important those wins for Man City, for Arsenal. Your mob Liverpool play tomorrow. Ian Foster talking about Sam Whitelock. So let's talk about Sam Whitelock. White Ferns versus England. We'll update you the score there, the win probability. This is the second of 3 ODIs. We got done 4-1 in the T20s. So trying to salvage some kind of pride. It is Martin Luther King Day, April the 4th today. It's not in the US of A. It's a day ahead, of course, but I want to talk about that because it's very significant in United States sport, MLK Day. New Zealand Rugby Players Association, the NZRPA, put out a 16-page document yesterday, a proposal for the adoption of the NZR Governance Review recommend. Good God Almighty! Just an A4 one page. They're really 16 pages. I really like Rob Nichol, but 16 pages. By God, that's hard work. And Reece Zammit, remember the name. Is he going to take the NFL by storm? Well, according to an article in The Telegraph, which was reproduced on the Stuff website today, this is just massive danger signs for world rugby, and that the NFL are going to be chasing rugby players all over the globe, and they'll be converting to... It is the biggest load of drivel I've read in a long time on any mainstream media sports site, written by somebody who obviously has zero understanding, knowledge or appreciation of NFL, those athletes. Ridiculous assertion, but we will deal with that as well. Kicking it off, though, with Sam Whitelock. And I began the show by talking about Big Sammy, 153 tests. We all know the facts and figures surrounding this guy. Old school. And it's a label that... it gets scoffed at and mocked at, doesn't it? Old school, it was better back then, the good old days, all of that. No, what it means to me when I say things like old school, it's a set of values, Lachlan, more than anything. And Sam Whitelock epitomises to me everything that I've always loved about the All Blacks. Remember after we beat Ireland in the quarterfinal, I said, I'm happy. I was so happy after that. I don't care really what happens. Of course I wanted us to win it, but I was so happy. I just wanted to see our All Blacks, my All Blacks, play like that, play with guts, determination, play with just a desperation to win, the selflessness that's involved with that. He is a real team before me guy. And I love the fact that he's not all over social media and that, you just know that you're not going to see him modelling clothes on the catwalk or anything silly. And he's a winner is what he is also, Lachlan. You put all of that into one package, and I just adore this guy. He, to me, is what the All Blacks are about. And I hesitate to use the word brand, but if I'm looking at an iconic All Black and I say, that's what I want, that's my man right there. Richie McCaw was one of those guys. I think Owen Franks, Kevin Mialamu, these guys, and Conrad are these guys, 100 Test veterans of these guys, Aaron Smith of these guys. That's who Sam Whitelock is to me. And I'll attach that to all of the past great players as well.
Yeah. I think rugby with the All Blacks, and I'm a lot younger than you, so I probably don't have as much of a personal history supporting the game and the team that you do to be able to look back on. But it's always been about the team. The players have never really put themselves above the team, if that makes sense. And it feels like, obviously, in sports in general, that's becoming the opposite now, where it's more about the players and their own brands and who they are. And that's very much the case with American sports now. And it feels like rugby, I think the NRL's become that, and the rugby union, starting to become that as well. But one thing I loved about those guys that you just listed, the players that I grew up watching, Richie McCaw, Dan Carter, Kevin Mialamu, Tony Woodcock, Owen Franks.
Yeah, Woodcock as well.
Brad Thorne, I think, is a great example of these players that turned up, wore the jersey, played hard, played well. You would never accuse them of not giving it their all. That's the one thing as well. They always had a go. And Sam Whitelock was absolutely one of those. I can't
remember him having a bad game. And that to me would be the best thing I could ever say about any player. Like, maybe not a 9.5 out of 10 every game, but 7.5 every game. And if every player played at that level, well, you'd win every match, wouldn't you? So, yeah, I don't know when another one like him is coming along. And I look at the current All Black side and I think, how many of those can I look at and go, you're another Sam Whitelock?
Yeah, you're of that ilk.
Yeah,
Who is it? But, I mean, the only one I could think of would be Sam Cane, whose career is also not far off finishing because he's already played at 3 World Cups.
The Barrett's probably. I think.
Yeah, but, I mean, again, these are guys, they're not... I mean, Scott Barrett's the youngest, is it?
Yeah, he'd be the guy. That would be the guy. Scott Barrett would be the guy.
Scott Barrett would be the guy. But again, he's probably halfway through his career. I mean, it's not like he's an up-and-comer. Out of the up-and-comers, who gives you that impression that they're one of those?
I don't think he has social media accounts either, Scott Barrett. I'm not so sure.
No, if he does, it's like a real, and I mean this with all the love and admiration in the world. It's like a dad social media account. There's like an awkward selfie in front of a seagull when he's
There's nothing wrong with that
on a road trip, which is fine.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's kind of what you want. I don't want these guys to.
I was talking to Ian Foster off here about this, ladies and gentlemen, and I said, did Sam Whitelock ever charge off the field? First thing he did was grab his phone. He said no. He said he hated people in the dressing room doing that. He thought after the game, the time was that you're meant to reflect on the game, have a beer, you're meant to talk to your mates, and everyone's on their cell phone. Absolutely hated it. Yeah, that's what I love about you, Sam Whitelock. I'm just reading a tweet out, which I found about 40 minutes ago or so, and I want to read it to you because it's a bit harsh in its language, but I think it captures a point. The Hurricanes lose $1.4 million in 2023. No need to worry, though. The extreme left, apartheid, enthusiastic chick team who can't win a game will bring in all the money. Now, okay, the language will put a lot of people off, and that will actually also divert the argument. What this texter is saying is absolutely true. You imagine it now, ladies and gentlemen. They've lost $1.4 million, the Canes, last year. Are they going to make a profit this year? No. They're probably going to dump at least another $1 million again this year. So now you're sitting there as the CEO of the Hurricanes, and you're knocking on doors, and you're going to people who own businesses or employ people, probably, hard-working New Zealanders who work hard to own their own thing, who might have a bit of money that they could sponsor. Now you're sitting in front of that person who probably looks a bit like me. It's probably Caucasian, probably male.
Probably.
And you're going to ask them to support and sponsor that team. Good luck. And Avonlee's a fantastic bloke, the CEO of the Hurricanes, but this is the position you've now put him in, Hurricanes power woman, and TJ Perenara. This is the position you've now put him in. You need to go along to all of those meetings with Avonlee when he's got his cap in hand asking for sponsorship and reassure those sponsors that you don't actually dislike them for the fact of who they may have chosen to vote for.
They won't want to go along because those sponsors...
In a democratic election process.
Yeah, those sponsors they'll get involved with, they would probably view as...
Well, yeah, white supremacists.
White middle-aged males.
That's right.
Who are
puppets of the government.
Who are the issue with society.
So this is what you've gone and done, you bunch of smarty pants.
Again, this links to the wider picture that, look, I don't have an issue, we've said this before, in terms of these political beliefs and what you want to believe in and support and follow, whatever. That's up to you.
I don't have a problem with it either.
But
I do have a problem when you're wearing that jersey.
Yeah, you've got to understand that when you're wearing that jersey and you're representing the organisation, you're representing a group of people. And the thing, at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, the majority of the money that comes into the organisation that pays your wages and allows you to earn a living, a very nice wage, by the way.
Paying sport for a living.
Paying sport, which is a bit of a luxury.
You think so?
That money comes from, a lot of them are older, white, male businessmen.
That's right.
Because that's what business people are.
Who may have voted for a change of government because they didn't like the fact that the last government had driven the country into the ground. But you keep doing what you're doing. Because in years to come, when it's still $1 million loss every year,
Well, that's the thing. It's going to come to a point where
Somebody's
that
gonna be
organisation
asking
has
here.
no money,
That's it.
and they're going to have to cut some teams or cut something.
And cut
and
something.
unfortunately, you're not going to have a job.
You're going to be first on the list. That's how it unfolds from here. This
Well,
is
no,
called
you
life.
know what'll happen? They won't be first on the list. There'll be an argument that should we keep the men or the women's team? That's
Keep
what'll
the
happen.
women's team, ladies and gentlemen. Let me be the first to espouse that right now. 245 for 9, England women over New Zealand women in the 48th over. Mo, they might bat their 50 overs. I'd say the win probability, which started at 81, went down to 64, crept back up to 71, I'd say would now be closing on 80%, Lachlan.
I've got the, never mind, I had the spinning wheel of death. 79% in favour of
I'm
England.
so goddamn good at this.
I mean,
It's not that
it's not
difficult.
hard.
EPL results today. Arsenal win, Man City win. Man City rested Haaland and De Bruyne. That, in a sentence, says everything that is wrong with English football.
Did they?
You can rest your two best players against the team that's fourth and beat them 4-1.
Yeah, they didn't. They were both on the bench, didn't come off.
4-1. Now, there's no team in world football that can rest those two guys in a must-win, very important Premier League match in any country at all. And yet Man City can do that.
I'll say this.
I'll say this: the 115 separate charges on the breaches of the Financial Fair Play Act. You need your titles taken off you, is what it is. It's not going to happen, is it?
Of course it's not going to happen. There's no point talking about it. Look, it's a. I mean, it's a victory that doesn't. It's weird because when Liverpool won the other day, Man City and Arsenal drew. I actually had a glimmer of hope. The first glimmer of hope I've had all year that my Reds are actually got
Well, you're still going to be on top tomorrow, mate.
Well, I mean, City aren't even past us, and we've got a game in hand because we've got a better goals difference. But the more that I've plodded along during the week, and I said this morning, I just don't think I don't see how City don't win the league title.
You're trying to talk yourself out of it because you don't want to believe.
No,
because
I don't want to put myself through the next 9. I can't do it. I can't do it. I've done it twice before with this team.
But just, mate, I mean, would you rather be sitting there 14th in the table like Crystal Palace with nothing to play? Oh,
I'd love
on.
to not have expectation when it comes to my sports teams.
It's like her, mate. You got to throw the heart out there and be prepared for it to be dashed on the rocks of disappointment, mate. That's the whole point of life. It makes it feel so much better if you win.
You pulled that straight from your heart, didn't you? That was quite nice.
The NZRPA 16-page document.
No, move
That's
on.
all we need to talk about that. Yep.
Yeah.
Read it if you will.
That would have put the listeners to sleep.
And Martin Luther King Day. Now, April the 4th was the day that the civil rights leader was assassinated. Memphis, Tennessee, at the Lorraine Motel. I've been there twice. It's now a civil rights museum. So those famous photos of the balcony where everyone's pointing to where the shooter is, that's his room. So they've turned it so you're walking on the ground floor. It's all been gutted, obviously, and it's now full of things like it's got a burnt-out bus from the Freedom Fighters. It's got the whole history of the slave. It's actually not only somber, it's incredibly upsetting and distressing, to be honest. Like, the first time I went, I kind of lingered a little. The second time I went there, I walked through quite quickly because so much of it is actually, it's so ugly. The history is so ugly. But anyway, the point of this is that where you get to at the very end was the room that he was staying in. And so it's been frozen in time. So,
I wouldn't want to. What, so there's still bloodstains?
No, the bed's not made.
So that's the sheets of the duvet that he had.
I presume it's there. It's the same as...
You're kidding.
It's the same as when you go to the 6th floor schoolbook depository in Dallas, Texas, where Lee Harvey Oswald shot from. They've frozen it in time. They've just glassed it so that the boxes are still spilt and everything in that 6th floor depository. The window's still up.
What are there still like bullet shells on the ground?
No, they picked all those up because, of course, there is always a debate in the conspiracy theories about whether there were 4 or 3 shots. I'm now a believer there were 4 shots, Lachlan, not 3.
From the same guy?
Same guy.
Well, then why does it matter if there was 4 or 3?
Well, it makes a huge difference, mate, because everyone thinks the other shot came from the grassy knoll, and it didn't. Don't even deep dive on this, mate. I can't even go.
So
all out 252. We're chasing 253. What chance do you give us here, Lachlan?
I want to hear more about this.
We'll talk about
book
it.
depository thing.
Okay, we'll talk about it later. Go to Dallas.
78%.
78%.
Devlin.
Go to Dallas.
Incredible!
The platform.
So many tributes to Sam Whitelock over the last couple of days, and why the heck not? 153 tests. Will any All Black even come close to that again? You're going to have to play for about 15 years. If that's the case, the guy won 2 Rugby World Cups, 180 Super Rugby appearances. I mean, the list goes on and on. But also, I just think he epitomises what a whole lot of us really love about All Black rugby, just about the resilience, about the grit, the determination, the selflessness, all of those old school kind of values. Steve Hansen was part of the All Black selectorial panel that first put Sam Whitelock in a black jersey. Steve, is it any coincidence to you when you talk about the farming background? He comes from a small town, so did certain R. McCaw, and so did Dan Carter as well. And a lot of our great All Blacks, you know, they've never, even on the field, I mean, they might have been the flashiest, they might have been the most brilliant players, but just in terms of their off-the-field thing, it is, you know, we have so many that have come from that have come from very humble beginnings.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Farming is a humble beginning, but what it is you live in the country and you learn to play every sport that's going, because you know the schools you go to aren't that big and they need all hands on deck, and you learn a work ethic as a young farming child. Coming from a dairy farm myself, I understand that you got to get up and milk the cows. You're expected to do the hay. From early age you're driving the tractor. So there's a work ethic that's installed in you, and that's the only way you can learn it, is for someone to install it in you. And once you have that, then you couple that with a bit of talent, and in this case quite a lot of talent, you can go to places that other people can't go. And if you look at Aaron Smith's another one from fielding, Cody Taylor another one from fielding, like that era also of young men had some great tutelage. And the Whitelock boys, there's a number of them, their father played a big part in tutelizing the school lads at fielding. So I think small places force you to have to understand and play different sport and different games and a background that you don't normally get when you're in the city, because city life's a little bit softer.
Was he a natural leader, or how did leadership come to him when you were coaching him?
I don't think anyone's a natural leader. I think they develop those skills, and he was definitely interested in being a leader because he cared about the team and the people around him. It didn't matter what team it was in. And he had the characteristics that allow you to be a good leader. So, like all people that have given that privilege and that opportunity, how you start's nowhere near how you finish. You grow and you develop and become better at it. It's like any skill, isn't it? And well, hopefully you do. And he did that. One of his great attributes, I said before, was his ability to connect with people and care about others as much as he cared about himself. And that's a great starter if you want to lead teams.
Where does the winning mentality and that absolute focus on just being the best in the world, but also your team winning, where does that come from?
Probably comes from his family initially, and then his competitive spirit as a young boy, wanting to be successful. And then you get in teams that are successful, and when you're in those teams, you just want to keep being successful. Once you have a taste of it, you don't want to stop it. And he went through a tremendous era, not only with the Crusaders but with the All Blacks, where there weren't too many games that were lost.
No.
And they had a lot of confidence in themselves as teams, and they got into positions sometimes when maybe if they weren't so much like that, they would have lost. But they believed in themselves, and they believed in each other, and they gave each other confidence. And once you taste success, you want more of it. It's a drug. There's no doubt about that.
From looking from the outside in, he doesn't appear to be a guy that has changed much, but I bet that's not the case. I bet that he has. How have you seen the changes manifest in him from when he first became an All Black to what you would have seen even last year at the World Cup?
Oh, look, he was a shy. Everybody that comes into the All Blacks is always a wee bit shy and apprehensive and not sure and a little overwhelmed. But he became a man that walked in. He's got mana. People look up to him. He's got a voice. and he's not frightened to use that voice at the right time. So, but his basic characteristics haven't changed. That's the thing that, about these great players. They don't have to change too much because a lot of their characteristics are pretty good.
Do you feel blessed that, you went through that coaching era where you had these names, McCaw, Carter, you had Kevi Mealamu, you had Owen, you had all of these centurions, Conrad. I mean, I could go through the whole list. You mentioned Aaron Smith before. I mean, these are legendary All Blacks that played so many games. How did that help you that you had those guys and they were all so consistent?
Well, you can throw out Bowden Barrett in there too, another, great player. And how did it make me feel? It made me feel great. When you've got talent, coaching becomes easy. If you don't have the talent to work with, then you've got to really work hard for your dollar. But when the talent's there, you can take it to places that you can't necessarily do so if you don't have that. And as I've always said, it's been a wonderful privilege to be part of an All Black era that was pretty successful. And to be part of any All Black team is a privilege. So to be part of one that was really successful was awesome. And a lot of that goes down to the talented people that we had, not only as players but other coaches, management, doctors, right down to nutritionists and baggage men. They were all very, very good at what they did and wanted to be successful, and most importantly, each and every one of the members of the group wanted to be better every day.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
We need to talk.
We need to play.
We need to talk.
Your favourite game, Lachlan.
We need to talk.
You
need to talk.
Even though you're staying on your own in your parents' house, you're still getting told off. I'm hoping you're getting told off. I'm hoping there are a list of things to do, and I'm hoping there's rules and regulations and ways of doing things inside that house, and you're being monitored from afar.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I sent a pic because I'm looking after the dog, which is why she was in the work in work.
Bring the dog to work day yesterday.
She's at doggy daycare today, so she's with her friends. And after I sent a picture of being with the dog on my first night at home, Mum sent this massive paragraph of, hi kids, couple of things I had jotted down to remind you of.
Right.
That's how it starts. And
Yes.
I haven't read the whole message.
You haven't read the whole
message?
message?
I haven't read it. It's fine.
What is more chance of happening, Lachlan? I'll give you two scenarios. You can tell me out of the two what is more chance of happening. The White Ferns level the series versus England today in Hamilton and win this one day, chasing a run rate of 5.6 now. 5.7 make it with a win probability of, I would say, under 40. So I'm thinking it's 28s, 29s.
For the White Ferns?
Yep.
Worse.
22?
Worse.
18?
Worse.
No.
16%.
16%?
Yep.
I'm sure
16% chance.
We can bat this out. Come all right,
We
okay.
need 196 and 34.28. What's 34 times 6?
Well, the run rate required now is 573, okay? We're batting at 360. It's 573. So what is more chance of happening? The White Ferns level the series versus England in Hamilton today, this afternoon, or your Broncos upset the Storm tonight. What is more chance of happening? Because they got Munster back.
Yeah, how healthy is he, though?
It doesn't matter, mate. They got Munster back.
Yeah, seeing Munster and Hughes back in the halves. Obviously, Hughes only missed one game after that suspension, but
He's playing bloody well too. He played really well against the Warriors. He was excellent.
He's a very good player, Trump Hughes. Very good player. A bit underrated, actually. People don't really talk about him
Remember
much.
he got the suspension, people. Why? Because he touched the referee. Got him out of the way because the ref was in the way.
Yeah. Look, I give us a chance, but I mean, even if we had we don't have a full strength team, and not only are we missing probably our two of our three most important players, Reece Walsh and Payne Haas, we're also missing some of our depth. You know, Xavier Willison's not playing.
God, another wicket's gone for the White Ferns. Okay.
But our record against Melbourne is appalling.
Yes.
It's just
dreadful.
awful.
Yes.
It's like 23 out of our last 26 games against them we've lost.
What is more chance of happening?
23 in our last 27.
The White Ferns win or you beat the Storm tonight.
We beat the Storm.
That's got more chance of happening.
Yep. And the White Ferns winning. White Ferns are winning. The White Ferns now, according to... Yeah, we lost a wicket. 5% chance.
5%. What is more chance of happening then? That the Broncos beat the Storm tonight, or, as Jason says, the Rabbits upset the...
I tell you what.
No way.
Yep. I am all on this.
The key word there was upset. It would be an upset if South.
Of course, it would be an upset.
South said, "Look at the way the Warriors have played the last couple of games, mate. We'll go hard at them for the first 15 minutes, and their whole South Sydney team will trail itself."
Here's the thing: the Warriors have played well the last 2 games. They've been the better side. If you didn't have a scoreboard graphic up there and you took out the tries that were scored and you just watched those middle parts of the game, you go, "Oh, the Warriors won this by 2-3 tries." They have struggled to put away their last 2 opponents.
That's a good sign. That's not a bad sign.
Not.
That's
the opposite of a good sign.
That's the goodest part of the good sign.
That's a sign that you can be dominating a game, but you can't put points on the board.
That's the sign that we're just taking the piddle, mate, that we could have whacked.
Well, you just answered it. Look, I know I like to give it to the Warriors because it's a lot of fun, to be honest. But I really think there's a lot of value in backing Souths this weekend. I think, there's more chance that the Souths...
more chance that Souths win or your Broncos win?
More chance probably that my Broncos win. Yeah.
Next!
What is more chance of happening then? That South Sydney do beat the Warriors, as yourself and Jason Costigan are calling, or that the Wallabies win one of the 2 Bledisloe Cup tests this year with Crono and Schmidt on board?
Ooh.
See, I think these 2 are much of a muchness.
Yeah.
Strangely, I give the Wallabies a chance.
I do too.
Not just because of those guys, but just because we aren't that good. Look, and I keep saying this, prove to me, All Blacks, that you can. Because last year...
but that was Fossey's fault.
Record score to South Africa. We beat Ireland. That was a brilliant game. But we actually had a doddle throughout that World Cup. We're the easiest group, the easiest run to the final. Yeah, we got a player sent off and we just about pushed South Africa. But would we have won? Would we have been able to do what they did? Regardless of all the crap I talk about, the TMO and everything, could we have won 3 games against France, England, and us equivalent South Africa by a point? No, we couldn't have. We wouldn't have won back to back to back. No way. Our team wasn't good enough.
If you swap us and South Africa around, and we were in a group with Ireland and Scotland and Tonga, which we would have finished second. Ireland probably would have beaten us in the group stage.
And then would we have beaten France in Paris in the quarterfinal? I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean,
that England side, the way that they played that day, if we'd had them in the semi-final, I would have been worried.
We play a different style though to South Africa.
Okay, we do.
Fair. But anyway, back to the original
is called
point.
A winning style. What is more chance of happening here?
Next!
I'm going to say the Wallabies won a Bledisloe Cup test.
Then the Rabbits beat the Warriors.
Oh, damn it.
I just won't be surprised. Yeah. I won't be surprised at all if they do win a test, given the fact that I just think we are vulnerable. I don't think we are the All Blacks at all.
I think people are getting overexcited about Razor being the coach. I think Razor's a very good coach, but I don't think we become world beaters with him at the helm. Next. Not with this playing group.
Not with this playing group. We're going to have to find another 5 or 6 world-class players who are the best in the world in their positions, or at least in the top 3 in the world in their positions.
Hope that
and at the moment, we don't even have a first 5 and a proven halfback.
Oh, we've got Damo.
What is more chance of happening?
Oh, to be fair to Finlay Christie, he's played in the All Blacks for a couple of years. He's a handy halfback. He's not
handy. He's not Aaron Smith, and he's not Roy Gard.
Well, he's
would you rate him alongside Dupont?
No, hold it. No, but who? No, I wouldn't rate Roy Gard alongside Dupont. Steady on. You've got this.
What is more chance of happening
Next.
then? The Wallabies do win a Bledisloe Cup test this year, or we come back. Oh no, we lost another. We're not. I can't. No, and I'm like,
no, it's drinks. It's drinks.
It's drinks.
Don't worry.
Okay. What is more chance happening? The Wallabies do win a Bledisloe Cup test this year, or Man United go to Chelsea tomorrow with Harry Maguire at the centre of defence.
And to Harry Maguire, who is the reason that Sheffield United equalised. Sheffield? No. Brentford equalised against you guys the other day.
Okay, I'm not going to say win the game. I'm going to say keep a clean sheet.
No, you guys concede so many goals.
We cannot. We just can't.
Especially if you score. If you score, you always concede.
Within seconds.
Yeah. Have you actually won a game with a clean sheet this year? I'm not trying to be mean and cynical. I'm being serious. Have you?
2. I think we've won 2.
Who?
I'm just trying to think. Actually, I don't actually. No, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if you have.
Oh, no, we've kept a clean sheet against you lot at Anfield.
No, but you didn't score.
Okay, well, I mean, we kept a clean sheet, though. So, what is more chance?
That's not my question.
What is more chance happening? Man United keep a clean sheet against Chelsea tomorrow.
No, that's not happening, mate. Come on.
Or Sheffield United.
Oh, your first game of the season, 1-0, you beat Wolves.
There you go. Sheffield. Well, that should have been a 1-1 draw because
Wolves were very good.
Absolutely clattered their
Burnley, you beat them 1-0 away. Actually, you've had a few. You beat Fulham and Luton 1-0 as well.
There you go.
3-0 against Everton.
Fantastic. What a defence we've got.
3-0 against West Ham not long ago.
So what is more chance of happening? that we keep a clean sheet against Chelsea with Harry Maguire leading the defence tomorrow morning, or Sheffield United get a point at Anfield?
Oh, there's more chance that you guys keep a clean sheet, absolutely.
There's no way in hell, is there? It's just about how many goals you put on them.
Yeah, we're a funny team, though, because we go through these... We really let ourselves down defensively. We switch off, and we start games really slow defensively. We're just a little bit off. I don't think it's just because we've got a lot of kids in defence at the moment. But we just really start to throw absolute haymakers at the opposition on attack. It's just... And it's how we've played for years under Klopp. It's just floods and floods of attack. It's incredible. And I can't imagine Sheffield are going to be able to keep that out.
Wynton Rufer. Well, if you love your football in this country, he needs no introduction. If you love your football in Germany, he needs no introduction. They still chant his name, Kiwi Rufer, Kiwi Rufer. They do, from the terraces of Werder Bremen, where he won the Bundesliga and also the Cup Winners' Cup, knocking out Maradona and Napoli along the way. A superb striker and the best person in New Zealand to consider what Chris Wood is now achieving, 66 Premier League goals to his name. The All Whites captain. Does he get the props he deserves? Wynton doesn't think so. That's the 5th time he's hit double figures in the English Premier League. And you more than anyone are placed to know exactly just what an achievement that is so far for this guy.
Absolutely phenomenal. And just a shame that it's not really acknowledged here in New Zealand.
No, it's crazy.
Really get it. There's just so many famous players there, and Chris has scored more goals than them. And so, but you and I know, but it's a shame that the rest of the country here in New Zealand don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why people are so blasé about it. I was saying yesterday that, and look, and I mean this only in the utmost respect, but I said I'm starting to think about Chris and starting to talk about him in the same sentence as you. Obviously, you can't really compare apples with apples and things, but what he's doing though, Wynton, scoring that amount of goals, playing in that league, it's at a level that you played at, the highest level in Europe is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and he's got more than 150 goals in top flight English football, so it's incredible. It's brilliant.
What is it about him you really like as a striker?
Well, he's big and he holds the ball up really well. And then you can see even with the subs of Nottingham Forest with Origi, who was, he was a superstar at Liverpool, and yet, they can't get in. And, he's the main guy under the Portuguese head coach who's, the way he's playing, and it suits the team with just, sort of this one centre forward. Obviously, when you're playing, they're battling for relegation, and it's not easy. And, normally Origi, it'd be a choice between him or Origi. Sometimes there has been the odd game where they started together, but, most of the time it's just been Chris. So, he keeps out other superstars of world football, and he's the one that starts the games. It's amazing.
In terms of his technical ability, what do you see? What do you like?
Well, look, when I had Chris for about 6 years as a kid, and there he really wasn't anything special. It's a miracle what he's done. So a special player that I had was Sarpreet Singh, who's at Rostock in Germany, who struggled to start there in the second division. It's a top famous traditional team in Germany, but Sarpreet can hardly get to start there. It just shows you how tough it is. But technically, Sarpreet's clearly one of the best players I ever coached here in the last, since I've been back in New Zealand in 1997. Chris was really not at a level, but what he's shown is, the will, and if you believe, and obviously had great encouragement from his parents. His mother's English, and she went over with him when he was 16. And the dad stayed, Grant, he stayed behind with the daughter, who was also a good football player, who Chelsea, her name's Chelsea, and she played for New Zealand under 20s. And Grant stayed behind, so they made a big sacrifice for the family, and sort of splitting up to, support Chris in his dream of, playing in English football, and it's worked. And but as I say, getting back to the technique, Chris really was just, an average player. He wasn't really anything special there, but you take advantage of the opportunity, which he's done, and then he kept getting contracts from all the clubs, even though he went to about 8 different clubs over all those years. But he always delivered, because if you don't deliver, you won't get a new contract, you know. And often he was only there maybe on loan for a year, or then he went to that club for a year. It's really tough, but Chris was always delivered, and in all the clubs he played in, he scored. And then it started happening when he he went to Leeds in the championship.
Yeah, that's when it really kicked off.
And then he was amazing. He was top scorer, and I even introduced him to Werder Bremen, but they had no chance, because the money already being paid there at their championship level was just absolutely nuts. And then he got the big move, I think, then to Burnley, from Leeds, and in the championship, being top scorer in the championship, and then straight away with Burnley, though, bang, 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 goal after goal. It was amazing.
That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
You better believe it!
The Platform.